What's up, everybody? My name is Elisha Scott, and this is my moment of worship.
If you promised God that you would give him a yes in spite of, could you keep that promise in adversity? Are you willing to still give God a yes when things are hard? Let me tell my story. 2024 was probably one of the craziest years of my life. In a season where I spent time pretty much homeless, jobless, I was able to come into the blessings of a house and a new job and to make things happen at a level that I never thought was possible, in spite of giving God a yes in a trying season. In 2023, August of 2023, I told myself, hey, this will be your last year at this job. Me and my boss, who's also one of my closest friends at the time, we had served in this job for a number of years, and we decided, okay, in order for us to progress further in our career, we would have to hang up here and move to our next. Lo and behold, what I thought would last to the end of the year came a little bit sooner than what I expected. Back in December, I turned in my letter of resignation, December 2023, my 3-week notice saying, hey, I'm leaving. I didn't even make it to the end of the year. In that very same vein, I applied for another job and I got hired, but my start date was one day, but due to a snowstorm, my start date ended up being a week later. And so for me, the position between December of ending one season and January of starting another season, my funds got low. You see, the previous job had paid me up until the point in which they were going to pay me, and I paid my bills, but then I had a delayed start date, which delayed my next paycheck. So bills came again before I got paid, and I'm looking at the Lord and I'm like, what's going on? Lo and behold, I also told the Lord that I would give to Safe Soil a level that I had never given before. And the Lord said, you made this promise to me when you had, but can you make it in spite of your have? See, what you had to understand is I promised God I would do something, and regardless of what my circumstances showed, I still had to come through on my promise, because he said, if you trust me in this, I can trust you in the next. And so when Safe Soil came around, I found a way to give God more than I've ever given before in spite of not having a job. And the Lord honored that promise. See, later that year, I bought a home, and it's not just the fact that I bought a home 5 years projected sooner than what somebody told me, because I had applied to buy a home when I first moved to Memphis, and they told me you're about 70 years too early before you'll be able to buy a home. I moved to Memphis in 2021. The year is 2024, and they're saying yes to a home application when somebody told me in 21 that I would not have it for 7 years. But that doesn't end the story of travailing. See, the home buying process was a struggle in itself. When I initially applied for the home and I got approved and said yes, I was homeless for 3 days. See, what had happened was the person who was selling the home needed time to move their stuff out, but my lease at my apartment complex had ran out. And even though it had ran out once, they gave me an extension, but they told me this is the last extension we can give you because the person who is moving into your apartment complex is coming that very next week. So you have to move out. Well, unfortunately, those 3 days between me moving out and moving into the new house put me in a place of I don't know and unknown circumstances. See, I didn't have anywhere to go. I remember packing my stuff up on a U-Haul and reaching out to my job security and asking me, could I park my U-Haul on the school's campus because I don't have anywhere to go. I'm grateful for safe community and safe friends, because my friend let me stay on her mom's couch for 3 days. 3 days I was sleeping on someone's couch, but I didn't have a place to call my own. I knew what the Lord had promised me because I had seen the paperwork. I had seen the signatures. I was still in the waiting process. And in the midst of the waiting process, it got really, really hard when you don't know where to go or where to turn to. And you still look up and say, Lord, did you forget about me? But I was reminded that the Lord didn't forget about me through worship. See, This is all about worship. For me, worship is a conversation with God, unfiltered, unadulterated. Because when I didn't have anywhere to go or a place to lay my head, I found myself in worship. I found myself on my knees, on my face, asking God, did you forget about me? And the Lord said, no, I didn't forget about you, son, but there's something that I'm trying to show you, that in spite of everything that you do, it's not enough. He says, in my strength is made perfect in your weakness. So I had to show you your weakness so you could see my strength. You see, worship reminded me that the Lord never loses a battle. Worship reminded me that he is a God who does not go back on his promise. He'll come and see about you, but you got to get out of the way sometimes. And being homeless for 3 days showed me that I had to get out of my own way, because I knew what was in promise to me, but I tried to do it myself. Lord, you promised me I could have a house, so let me do all of this. But the Lord said, pause. This isn't about you. This isn't about you. He told me that for you to see what's come to next, you have to go through 3 things. The first thing you have to do, you have to learn to trust me in spite of what circumstances may show. I managed to give in spite of what my job circumstances was. The second thing he told me, that though I may have promised you, my promises are not on your timeline. My promises are on my own. So what you may be expecting from me may not come because you think it's supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen for you. And the third thing he reminded me is that worship is the most important thing between me and you. I tell everybody all the time that at my core, I am a worshiper. Nothing more, nothing less. And the Lord said, you had forgotten your place of worship because you had become so busy trying to do a job and trying to do for yourself and provide. And he said, remember, worship is a conversation where you find me the most. Get back to your place of worship. You see, worship has kept me sane for 32 years. I will never forget where worship brought me through. When I was in college and I had the death of a loved one and couldn't go home, a piano is where I found God. When I was failing in my classes and they were talking about taking my scholarships, worship is where I found God. You see, this wasn't my first sense of adversity. It was just the first time that I forgot to worship God in spite of what y'all saw. You see, it was easy to show up to the house of worship and smile and wave and say, hey, how you doing? When internally and personally, I was struggling. God reminded me that worship is what pulled me through. And so I stand here to deliver a message that not only does God require devotion, but your worship is your true conversation. Your conversation with God starts and ends in worship. Filter out the noise, filter out the distractions, and find God in the true unadulterated worship, the worship unscripted.